Hello everyone. In this quick lecture, I'm going to be discussing some issues that normally come up when people add images to a help file or really any kind of online documentation. And I'm sure we've all seen this type of issue come up in different kinds of documentation. And one of the main problems that comes up quite often is small amounts of text with very large screenshots. Now the problem here, of course, is that we're talking about one particular item on the entire interface. We're talking about the move icon. Now even though you might circle it and make a call out with it, this isn't really going to help the reader. Now again, we're talking about a help file in this case, where someone wants to come in, get their information, and get out. When you present someone with a very large image, they have all this other extra information that's cluttering up their field of vision and taking away from what they really need to know. So when you are considering putting in screenshots or illustrations into online help in specific, really absolutely consider exactly what needs to go into each and every topic. For example, if you are discussing one particular icon, give them that icon. Here's a revised topic. So as you can see, you're giving the user that icon, that picture of that icon, so they can then identify it on the interface without cluttering up the rest of the topic. Again, people want to come into a topic, quickly find that information, not have to process anything else, just get that information, get out, get their job done. So in this case, minimal screenshots or minimal parts of screenshots are the way to go to get the user to the information they need and get them back on track. Let's take a look at another example for a moment. Let's go to Word. So here we have a Word help document, and this is another good example. I'm just going to scroll down. So here we have our text, our heading clearly here, and our steps, and then again a picture, but it's not the whole screenshot. It is exactly what the text is referring to, namely the illustrations group. It's not the entire ribbon, it's not the entire screen, it is the illustrations group. Really keep that in mind when you are putting in a screenshot. Give the user just enough for them to find what they need to get to. And here's another nice little example of a call out in case someone is missing this little tiny button down here. It is circled to give it some highlighting, because again it's referred to in the text, and it's just to call it out to the viewer. And the other point here I'd like to make is the screenshot is not replacing the text. If you put a screenshot or any illustration into your online document, make sure that you are referring to it. Okay, screenshots out in space for no reason whatsoever are not going to help the user, because it means they have to figure out, well, what is that? So you always want to make sure that you are referring to whatever picture you are putting into your documentation. Let's look at another example that gives us a more overview type of illustration. So here's an example from Adobe FrameMaker, and this is an overview topic that's giving extra information. It's not just a how-to topic. And again, we have a screenshot as an illustration, and this one has callouts with the callouts clearly defined below the illustration. This is a very clean way to do this type of overview information. But I want you to notice a couple of things. One, the illustration clearly sits within the margins, so it's not going out way over here or over here. It's not overwhelming the text. The callouts, the size of the callouts are almost the same size as the surrounding text. So again, we're not having these huge numbers or letters screaming out at the reader. They're still legible, they're clear, and they don't interfere with what is actually in the illustration. So sometimes you really need to consider that as you pull in callouts. Are they hiding part of the illustration? If so, you might want to rethink how they are used. For example, this line from letter F is positioned carefully so that it is under the words. It doesn't go across them. It's making sure that you can see the words on the interface. So adding images to online documentation really helps get across information to a reader very quickly and efficiently, but you really do need to consider the size of the image, the placement of the image. How much information does the image convey? Do you really need an image for each and every step? Really consider how much an image is helping your reader and how much it's cluttering up your documentation and making the reader look through more information than they need to have. If your image is overwhelming the text, if it is unrelated to the text, reconsider those images. Okay, let's go back to our original topic in Help and Doc. So when you're adding images, whether that be a screenshot or something that you've created or an image that you've pulled from perhaps a clip art image, any image that you're adding, really consider the purpose and the usefulness of a particular image. Just throwing in a screenshot into a document is not always helpful, and in fact can confuse the reader or overwhelm the reader or give the reader too much information. Consider the placement, consider the size, and consider whether you need it at all. If, for example, you have screenshots for every single step, are they useful? Can the reader get the information just from the text? Have you doubled the size of a procedure because you've added so many screenshots? Remember, the reader wants to get in, get their information quickly, and get out. Small screenshots can indeed help the reader identify key parts of the interface that they need to get to that might be confusing or that they might not see at first glance. Too many screenshots and too many pictures will confuse the reader, clutter your topic, and make the reader do more work by having to filter through all of that information. That's it for this lecture. Thanks for listening.